And now, get ready.
Keep up with Femidlive for live updates on Twitter at Femidlive, on Facebook at Femidlive, Instagram at Femidlive. All major platforms you would find Femidlive. Send your messages and email femid@live.com to keep the conversation going even now. A day in politics is a year, but then who cares? Oh, you should care. It's not just about what was said or what happened, where, when, how, who knows where. Next, let's understand the story that changes our lives every single day. Join me every day for politics and current affairs more than ever before. I'm Femi D. Amele.
JFM 101.9.
This is Femi D Live.
Thank you so much for taking your time to join in this lovely evening again. Welcome to Room for Debate. There's always debate to be carried on regarding what is best for the country. I guess there is no sitting away when it comes to democracy. Welcome to the show this evening. I am Femi D. Welcome. So much to talk about. We could start off by talking about the Global Terrorism Index, GTI, as we popularly know it as, in the world of journalism. Well, it is said Nigeria continues to fight on in the battle against insurgents. No, wait, take that away. In the battle against terrorists now. Now, I will tell you this. Not many countries, few countries around the world precisely, get the chance to have the tendency to fight off 1, 2, 3 groups at a time. In Nigeria, at the moment, one could almost confidently say we at least are fighting 2 groups off. And with those two groups, we rank as high as number 3 in the World Global Terrorism Index for the year 2016. I'll walk you through the numbers and the report that best describes how Nigeria did arrive at that very position in just a short while. Did anybody hear about what happened in Edo State? So, let's rewind a little bit more. Last week, the governor of Edo State was Adams Oshomole. And then the weekend did come around. Obaseki was elected as the governor of Edo State. But just before the outgoing governor did go, he gave out 3 positions. Three positions. One as permanent secretary and the rest of them. Literally, it dictated what would happen in the next administration by determining who would function alongside with the new governor. But that's not all. In the wake of all that one could imagine, a bill in the Edo State House of Assembly was modified, amended is the right word now, amended to favor the outgone, since it's a new week now, the outgone governor, Adams Oshomole. Favor him financially, favor him with a retirement. We will be talking about pension life for politicians. Yes, the politicians deserve to have the pension life, whether elected. After all, what they say about if you're elected is you're there to serve the people. Should the people be serving politicians after they are gone? Who deserves to get the pension? Who deserves not to get the pension? Who deserves to lead the country or lead a state for 4 years and benefit at a time when the state in itself is having trouble? Trouble, I say, feeding itself. This is just part of the debate for this very evening. Welcome to this experience. It's the evening one, right here on J101.9 and Femidlive Live. It's time to get started with the conversation. Welcome. We'll start off now.
Nothing breaks the news like the news. Trust me, I can prove it. I'm ready. Let's take on the biggest debates on radio, provide insights, experience, and build an unforgettable discussion together. I am Femidlive. Amelie. Let's talk with Femidlive is on.
This November, all things are clear, concise, complete, but not over. Join the November conversations with Femidlive. This is Femidlive.
Thank you for staying with me right here. Let's start off the conversation by looking at some few stories that of good interest that is going on in the country. I tell you, going on in the country right about now. Some of the latest news that would be of interest to you. Let's start off with the fact that the members of the House of Representatives, through the leadership, they prepared to meet President Muhammadu Buhari in a bid to find a solution to the state of insecurity in the country. Well, this was part of the resolution that was being debated earlier on today. And well, much of this debate was led by Representative Simon Arabo. He talked about the killing in southern part of Kaduna State. He called on the House to reach out to the Department of State Security Services, Department of State Security, to look at the internal security in the country and to stand up to their responsibilities. Many of you would remember that at least 31 people were killed and several others injured in Kaduna State over the weekend in 4 communities precisely. Kahuru, local government area of Kaduna State. And well, there were even still fresh attacks that did go on last weekend. And one could also talk about the fact that the Shiite group as well did not help these numbers or did not help the situation from getting less intense than it is. Many of those 4 communities lost people. Indigenes of the area claimed that it wasn't 31 people, but as much as 43 people were buried in Kaduna State last weekend. So the internal security of the country, it appears the lawmakers from the House of Representatives now are taking up that responsibility to say, we need to find out what is going on. Is the efforts of the DSS, for example, the efforts of the Nigerian police, the efforts of every of the internal security mechanisms now ought to be put in place. Are they functioning well enough to keep things going in this regard? Well, let's see how that goes. But they are prepared to meet the president on this issue and ask for his response in this regard. In the meantime, well, out there in Osun State, it appears everything is on hold. Not the ASU version of the event, but the socio-economic activities in Osun State yesterday was put on hold as pensioners in the state capital took to the streets to protest the fact that they have not been paid. Literally, they were out there to show their displeasure, anger, and, well, I mean, what words would you use when you see a 65-year-old man holding his walking stick and holding a placard with the other hand? How does one come to process that? In fact, hold our thoughts now. A 65-year-old, a 70-year-old, maybe some people with some health issue. You know, I was listening to one of the pensioners who was diabetic some time ago, and she talked about the price she pays for insulin every other time, like every 2 weeks, the amount she pays in this regard. But in Osun State, as early as 6 a.m., they were out there on the road. They talked about the fact that, for example, some of the retirees talked about the fact that they've not been paid the allowance from 2011, 2012, and they marched on from the likes of the old garage, Olaniyi, MDS Road, Okeifa, and so many other roads. They really occupied. This is what you call occupying. They had as much as 1,000 people. Somehow, somewhere there. Now, they also talked about the fact that some of the other people that could have been working with them today are dead because they don't have the funds, or they've not been given funds in this regard as well. So you find out as part of this story is going on in this regard. Yes, Delta State as well, they've come out to say, well, we are given to transparency, accountability, and governance. They say they know exactly what they do when it comes to managing the public sector. Many of the state governors have joined in this type of conversation. Many of you remember that somewhere in between the conversation this week, the Senate talked about the fact that, well, the bailout funds given to the state should essentially be talked about, should be checked upon. It shouldn't just be a situation where you give them funds and everybody walks away and say, thank you so much, or maybe not even say thank you, walks away and they're fine. Well, it's interesting to know the likes of Imo State, the likes of Ekiti State, and now Delta State are saying the Senate has no business. By the way, the Senate is part of the federal level of governance. But essentially, they're saying the Senate has no business constitutionally to check up on all these areas that they may be inclined to really ask questions about. And I'm starting to wonder, what is normal? What is normal in these circumstances? What is normal these days? It's not normal that countries, states, by the way, states go out to ask for bailout fund. There's nothing normal about that process. Not essentially. In fact, if it's normal, if one would think about it this way, if a child who has possibly received his allocation for the week is due to get 1,000 naira every week, I do hope you pay your child as much as that, 1,000 naira every week, comes back on Wednesday, having received his 1,000 naira, that's 1,000 on Monday, but comes back on Wednesday to tell you, wait, sir, daddy, my excuse is that there was a boy on the road who was selling corset and I could not resist, so I decided to use 200 naira. Then one senior collected another 300 naira from me. And then when I got to school, I paid for the books that he asked me to pay. The money that was left for was 100 naira. And daddy, I saw one new sweet and I really had to buy it. Now, it's not a problem, essentially, because he's given a breakdown. Of good interest would have to be the fact that some of his breakdown, some of them sound needful. If he's paying for books from his, maybe something they said they should buy and he couldn't get home to you in time, so he paid for it from his own money. It makes a lot of sense to do so. That's needful. Now, my question is, if state governors would travel all the way from Bauchi, Plateau, Ekiti, where else can I call now? Bornu, and those that have to possibly be on the road with their jets, if they do have one, to be on the road for many hours of the day, if they can travel as far as Abuja and sit up and collect money which is not duly theirs, but it's just, you know what you call help. They're helping them. It's not duly theirs, and they get it as what you call bailout fund. They're in trouble. Oh, take this money. Help yourself. Oh, spend it wisely. Oh, don't buy Kose when you need to buy Kose. Oh, use this money to help yourself until you come for your next duly allotted allocation, which comes from the federal allocation. And then they go on to spend the money on things that do not make common sense. When I say common sense, meaning things that are common to every sense of sensibility that one could find in the country. I mean, it doesn't take too much to look at Osun State. I've not been there for some time, but for much of the news, it doesn't take too much to understand that salaries and some few other things are pending. It doesn't take you to be a magician to understand, for example, that salaries are being owned, that different things are being needing urgent requirements. But rather, you hear things like governors saying stuff like, well, at this time where there's no money, since it's all of us that do not have money, we'll fold our hands and cross our legs. And a few that come, will spend for the rainy day, which could be saving for later on. It raises the fundamental question of, should money that comes out in an unusual way to the governors, would it be unusual to question what they do spend it on? Is it unusual? Is it out of place? Fundamental question. I give you money, whether it's, and by the way, I'm just troubled as well. If the Senate cannot ask the questions, then what happens to the executive arm who giving out the stipend now? Should the likes of the Ministry of Finance and the likes of the president be able to say, wait, I am literally selling my caps that I have in Aso Rock in order to fund you guys? Should he be in a position to ask them what they do with those funds? Yes, we are in an unusual time, unusual approach, unusual money as well. How much of the Constitution helps at this time, for example, in a recession? What does the Constitution talk about bailout fund if it's in there? What does the Constitution talk about recession if it's in there? What does the Constitution talk about the accountability factor required from the governors if it's in there? Wait, let's leave the Constitution. What does the federal government require as bylaws and statements of accounts from some of these state governors? That's just asking the noble question. I don't want to go too much into the state governors. I've already gone on for about 15 minutes on that subject. But it's really a question one needs to ask. I give you money and then you come back to me the next time. In fact, when you give out money to your niece or nephew and you feel it's not exactly what they come back from regular time, and they come back to you, one of the first questions you ask is, what did you use the money to do? And somebody says to me that question, the most noble question about the money that comes out from the federal pocket, should not be asked about what they use it to do. At least an idea of what it's being used to do. It's really, really a source of concern. All right, I'm just going to hold on that. Let's go back to the Global Terrorism Index. Let me give you an update of exactly the descriptions around this. So, the various countries have been ranked, 10 being the highest impact of terrorism around the world. Number 1 to 5 among the countries listed for being the country that has been most impacted by terrorism. Number 1, Iraq, with a scoreline of 9.96. Number 2, Afghanistan, with 9.444. Number 3, Nigeria, with a scoreline of 9.314. And by the way, the scale is 10. We score 9.314 out of 10 in terms of the terrorism index that is out there for the year 2016. And by the way, this report just came out recently. And you'll be surprised how things are going on. Well, we're number 3 right now, and quite a number of countries on this list. Over 200, I presume. Yes, I see the list. Yes, I'm right. Quite a number now. Quite a number. We're thinking about as much as 130 countries at least on this list. The least affected country right now who appear not to, they're on the 0 scale. Uruguay, number 130 of 130. Togo as well. Slovenia, Slovakia, El Salvador, Sierra Leone, North Korea. No terrorism issues in there. North Korea, I guess. Nabia, one will ask, I'm coming. This is the matter on that one. No way. I want to see the person that will start in North Korea. It's almost impossible. Not with that style of government. Poland has 0 on the scale of 1 to 10. Gabon has 0. No terrorism in Gabon, according to this report. Zambia as well, 0. Benin Republic, 0. Botswana, 0. Costa Rica, 0. Angola, 0. Croatia, 0. 0.0058. Almost not there. That's on the guys who... That's like telling you the countries that are the safest in the world right now. And somewhere in the middle of the park, you see number 104. Even Zimbabwe is doing fine. 0.413. Yes, the number 104 on this index. I don't have the copy of the report. It's about 108 pages. I've been going through it as much as I can all day. United States is ranked number 36 of 130. And on the scale of the impact of terrorism on them in the last 1 year, they have 4.877 on a scale of 1 to 10. So that's like 4.8 over 10. South Sudan, 6.497. They're number 21. Sudan in itself, 6.6. Niger Republic is number 16 with 6.682. And not missing out to the likes of Libya, ranked number 10 with 7.283. But Nigeria, of good interest, 9.314 over 10 would have to be the impact of terrorism, and we're number 3 in the world. Well, of good interest, key findings to go by of this would have to be 76 countries improved their scores in the 2016 Global Terrorism Index, while 53 deteriorated. One could almost say 5 countries with the highest impact of terrorism. Of course, Iraq, Afghanistan, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Syria. These are countries that account for about 72% of all deaths from terrorism in the year 2015. And well, 10% of 2015 would have to be just about 29,376. Iraq and Nigeria had the biggest decrease of number of deaths in the last 1 year, as much as 5,456 people less than the number that died. There's about 32% reduction in the amount of terrorism impact in those countries. Anyway, so you find the Global Terrorism Index going on in this regard. Now, everything sounded fine to me, almost fine. At least it says we're improving. If you're number 3 before, by now could have been number 1. So I was playing around a little bit in this report of 108 pages, and I decided to look at what one would best describe as the activities of new terrorist groups now. If you're with me, if you have this report like I do, if you go to as far as like page 49, let me just put in page 49, where it talks about new groups that are coming up in terms of terrorism now. It's sad to say to you that accounted for will have to be armed headsmen. Yes, okay, I finally find it. Page 51. Al-Qaeda is there. The Taliban of Afghanistan is also there. Boko Haram is also there. And yes, they also do mention the likes of the armed headsmen. It's sad. Of course, Boko Haram with numbers and figures there. But the group, they say, people have to be careful more about. I was reading a part of the report. I'm trying to get to the precise part. Would have to be about the rise and recognition of armed headsmen. So they say Boko Haram, for example, found itself from kidnapping and ransom, bank robberies, illegal money, external donations now, and the rest of it like that. But of all the things I did see, is the recognition in this report that's just come out, starting to grow the reputation growing for the group one would call the armed headsmen. It's growing day by day. It's sad. And I tell you what of good interest is the fact that much of the discussion around the headsmen and armed headsmen is the fact that government says, well, it's just a packet of fights here and there. I don't know. Are we recognizing things as much as, is it me? Do I see it differently? Or does the Global Terrorism Index is it trying to create a panic for everyone to suddenly start to think of armed headsmen as terrorists? Are they insurgents or terrorists, or are they guys that who have just arms? Is the perception about them and the reputation starting to grow and be attributed to them? Is it misplaced, or it's getting there? Now my body, they do me like this. I don't know what you think about it, but if a global body may start to recognize the impact of terrorists of such nature, are we recognizing them of such nature or of similar nature or by any standard close enough? All right, I'm trying to make sure that I stay within my time. I'm calculating within myself right now, because the main discussion of the evening that I'm troubled about is this Edo State stunt too. Well, we're getting there. We're almost there. But just to round off on terrorist groups and recognition given to them, what is going on? Can somebody tell me the track record at the moment? So the part and the point where one could say the so-called talked about strategy to tackle armed herdsmen as done by the federal level. I know of the Ekiti formula. I know of the likes of Ondo State formula and some other states now. Can anybody tell me what that formula was? I'm a guy that reads lots of papers every day, but I'm not too sure the last time I saw that formula. In case I missed it, maybe you did not miss it. What's the formula? Where is it in there? Okay, let's leave that conversation. Let's go to some very, very interesting saga. It's not exactly what you want to laugh about, but it's exactly what you would want to describe as laughable. The Edo State House of Assembly approved a pension benefit. Follow my words carefully now. Approved a pension benefit for a residential building worth 200 million naira for the immediate past governor of the state, Comrade Adams Oshomole, while 100 million naira was approved for his deputy, Dr. Pius Odubu. Here's the place where the stunt. You know when they say when they say magician, there's a magician in the news. Yes, here's one magician in the news. So, the State House, in order to find a way to justify how the concept of the money would come out from. Remember, the state had made their budget already for the year 2016. Well, of course, there's no way to squeeze in this money or to squeeze the money around. So the best possible way was to amend a law or a bill to suit this situation. The House amended the pension bill. The bill was titled A Bill for a Law to Amend the 2007 Pension Rights of the Governor and Deputy Governor Law, as approved by the House at the committee. Here's what they said they'll be giving. Pension for life at a rate equivalent to 100% of his last annual salary. In addition, an officer not above grade level 12 as special assistant, a personal secretary not below grade level 10, who shall be selected by the former governor from the public service of Edo State. The governor, Oshamale, forgive me, outgone governor, or former governor. Let's go former governor. Former governor will be entitled to 2 cooks, 2 armed policemen as security, 3 vehicles to be bought by the state government, and is liable to be replaced every 5 years. 3 drivers who shall be selected by the former governor and paid by the state government, as well as free medical treatment for the governor and his immediate family. Let's go to the deputy governor. The former deputy governor will be entitled to 100% of his last annual salary as pension. A personal staff of not above grade level 12 as special assistant. A personal secretary not below grade level 9, who shall be selected by former deputy governor from public service of the state. A cook and 2 policemen as security. Also approved are 2 vehicles to be bought by the state government and replaced every 5 years, with 2 drivers to be selected by former deputy governor and paid by the state government free medical treatment for him and his immediate family. I've never seen anywhere in the world where a bill, call it a law, Seth, is amended 1 week gone, 1 week away from the seat of power, to favor a former governor. Not to say maybe governors, maybe they can, maybe they would not. But I'm just wondering. So just imagine if power was so much, if the different arms of government were to subdue each other, a situation where you have is loyalty to the death. Something like that. For example, this same bill can possibly fly in Ekiti State where the House is very much at the beck and call of the governor. I'm not saying so. It's in the news. It's factual. They are loyal to him. They say they are. And they will do what they need him to do. It's in the news. It's not me trying to make this up. That's in Ekiti State. In other state, it's a similar situation. I remember during the campaign when Obaseki was asked about godfatherism, and if he has a godfather in the likes of Oshiomhole. Of course, he said one could only draw advice and experience from past governors, and he would not describe it as some system of godfather. That's not even the issue. It would have been interesting to say an incoming governor as an outgone governor as godfather. It will be. If you're in primary 2 going 3, one should look up to the people ahead of you. The part I don't understand is when a state assembly remakes, amend is the official word, but forgive me, let me use the word remakes, rebuilds, decides that there's need to add more sand to the cement and add less water. Or wait, let me put it this way. It's like somebody jejely having a budget to build a mud house. He has started making the blocks. He has started making all that he needs to make. A mud house. That's all he wants to do. And then somebody says, I have cement for you. And then provides him with cement. And he tells himself, why? Kobaba. This is cement. This is new house. Let me just start to make. Let me start to build a house. With cement and block. Maybe even bricks. This is like changing the law to fit who you need it to fit. Meanwhile, if my selective thinking serves me right, there's the same bailout issue applies to those states. If my memory serves me right, in July of this year, Governor Adams Oshiomhole asked for a loan from the government. This was before the bailout matter. June, July of this year. He asked for a loan to sort out things. New roads. And people said, okay, you're living in August, September. Why the new roads and why collect loan and put basic or create some level of indebtedness for the incoming guy? It didn't even take long before the federal executive arm said, come on, just giving the guy the loan. So here we are at this point in time where the outgone governor leaves a certain level of debt. The incoming governor would have to join the lineup of bailout people. And then the state House of Assembly thinks a 200 million naira house. Wait, let me make it 3 now. I'm joining the deputy governor into the affairs. Thinks it's best in a recession for 2 of them joined together. Forgive my language. I can really speak crude Nigerian English sometimes when I have to. Deserve this much. That's not even much of the issue. But it is an issue where it's going to serve as an example. Maybe this example will be adopted in Ekiti State. Maybe it will be adopted in Ondo State. Which other state is having the governors changing soon? Maybe even in Rivers. Maybe with states. Just start to imagine whether PDP or APC or any party or the likes of it. After serving and sweating for your state for 4 years or 8 years, as the case may be, your retirement just needs to be this good, this big. For somebody who was voted into office, won the office, the reward for winning office is a retirement for life. It's a similar case with the senators, the lawmakers, who, by the way, started off that discussion, and then it appeared it was almost like political suicide for anybody who would be raising his hand saying yay on it. I do know of the president and vice president. But what I fail to understand is, how do you scale a life of public service of 8 years, compare it to a life of public service of 35 years? Of somebody's father, somebody who watched his father wake up in the morning, jump from boss to boss, to make an 8 a.m. job to close 4 p.m. for 35 years. And then the 35 years ends. And then he starts a new life by fighting for his pension of life. Do I need to frame this in any question? How is it politicians, elected governors, get the better part of the chunk? Not because they took it, but because they were given by law to do and undo. Stay with me. I'll be back. I'd like to hear what you do have to say. Sincerely, how do you scale the reward of public service of 4 to 8 years compared to a life of service to the public of 35 years? And even at that, you grow sick trying to get your life back and reward for service.
This is Femidlive.
This November, all things are clear, concise, complete, but not over. Join the November conversations with Femidlive.
Nothing breaks the news like the news. Trust me, I can prove it. I'm ready. Let's take on the biggest debates on radio, provide insights, experience, and build an unforgettable discussion together. I am Femi D. Amele. Let's talk with Femidlive is on.
And now, get ready.
Keep up with Femidlive for live updates on Twitter at Femidlive, on Facebook at Femidlive, Instagram at Femidlive. All major platforms you would find Femidlive. Send your messages and email femid@live.com to keep the conversation going even now.